Good morning, my beautiful people. Welcome to the Progressive once again. Hope you all are doing well wherever you are safe. Okay, this one we are going to continue our age and maturity series. This we are going to talk about the most hectic phase of a person's life 25 to 36 years, this 12-year period. Remember, we are talking about in 12 years. We finished the childhood years, we finished the teens, the wild teens, and now we are going to be talking about 25 to 36 years, the peak time, the peak youthful time of a person's life, and it's action packed, trust me. I'll do a presentation with the screen share because there's too many things happening at that time, so I have to kind of enable and disable stuff. It's a little high tech. So we'll show you, keep watching the presentation and see what happens, which planets mature, which houses mature, and what that results in, and for which ascendants it has the maximum impact. So keep watching and like, share, subscribe as usual. Okay? Have a nice day. Chart. And here we will see what happens from 22 years onwards. Let's just check. First, we'll check what happens when you're 22 years. We left that out in the last one. So 22 years, Sun matures. Now we are talking about different things here. We're talking about planet maturity and house maturity. So follow this very, very carefully. There's two different aspects. So the first thing here we see is Sun maturing at the age of 22 years, which happens to be in the 10th house. Sun matures. What happens when Sun matures? The person self matures. Sun stands for the self. So the self matures. Therefore, the most affected ones here would be Leo ascendants. Why? Because for Leo ascendant, Sun rules the first house. So whatever rules the first house will be always the most affected. We'll see the trend as we go along. Then at the age of 24 years, Moon matures. I forgot to put this in the last presentation, so I'm putting it here. 24 years, Moon matures. So the most affected will be Cancer ascendants. And when you're 24 years, you are traveling to the 12th house. So you might even have foreign travels at that age, at 24 years. Ignore this 36. Okay. Then comes the age of 25 to 26. Now we come to this particular one. So from the first house, which starts at 25, 26, 27, all the way up to 12th house is the 36-year period of a person's life. Any ascendant. Okay, this is common to all 12 ascendants. So 25 years, you're coming to the self. So this is powerful for all ascendants anyway, right? What happens between 25 and 26 years of age? The rectangular box shows you that the 10th house matures. Now, the 10th house is the house of occupation. We'll just dim out the moon and the sun here, otherwise it'll become very confusing. So 25 to 26, the house of occupation matures. This is the house maturity. That means a person may start working. Career. Matures means it's come of age. So this person might actually start working during this period, which happens to most commonly to all of us, right? Okay. Then we come to 25 to 27. What happens? Venus matures. The planet Venus matures. So the most affected will be Taurus and Libra ascendants. Why? Because Venus rules the first house or the ascendant of Taurans and Librans. So the most affected will be those, not to say the other ones won't be affected. The other 10 will also be, but in different ways depending upon where the house of Taurus and Libra fall in their ascendant, etc., where the planet is, and so on and so forth. So these 3 years, 25 to 27, Venus is also maturing and it is going through the first house, second house, and the third house of every ascendant. That means you will be looking with a more heart-centered consciousness on yourself, who you are, at your family, second house, and at your siblings and your skill sets and everything, communication abilities through the eyes of Venus. When you start looking through the eyes of Venus, you'll start seeing more world in a more heart-centered way. That starts at 25 and finishes at 27 because the planet has come to maturity. Not saying that afterwards it won't develop. Of course, it will continue to develop throughout life. But this is when it begins. And this is when it matures. So the difference here. Okay, then what happens between 27 and 28? Between 27 and 28, when the person is traveling to third house and fourth house, the 11th house matures. So between 27 and 27, what is 27 and 28? What is 11th house? 11th house is the house of gains of social networks, social media these days, large communities. It may even result in promotion. You may go on foreign travels also. Travel matures. All of these things mature for a person. That's why you may see between 27 and 28, a person may go traveling somewhere on work assignments. Okay. Then comes Mars maturity, which happens between the age of 28 and 31 years. These 4 years, Mars matures, the aggressive one, the violent one. Okay. So, the Mars maturity happens between these 4 years. When Mars matures, it is traveling through your fourth house when you're 28 years old, fifth house when you're 29, sixth house when you're 30, and 31. This gives an aggressive approach towards matters of the fourth house, matters of the fifth house, which is education, romance, creativity. The person may be highly romantic and creative at this point during 29 years. In 30 years, it gives more attention to work, daily work, maybe even some health issues. At 31 years, it gives more attention to getting married. A person may want to get married during 31 years of age. Okay. Then next comes 29 to 30. So at the same time that Mars is doing that, this is happening. So 29 to 30, you also have 12th house maturity. What does that mean? So 29 to 30, when a person is going through the fifth house or the sixth house, because the age is the same for all ascendants, 12th house is getting maturity. 12th house means what? It means financial losses, losses of all kinds. 12th house is the house of loss and gain of spirituality. It might give a glimpse. There might be loss of life, of friends, relative, family around you. Death maybe. Foreign travels maybe. Going into distant lands, going into isolated places. There might be a glimpse of this. So the beginning of the spiritual journey begins with the maturity around 29 and 30 years of age for everyone. Then, after that, we have the first house maturity. So when we finished the Mars maturity, Venus maturity, and had a glimpse of spirituality, then begins the real person's maturity. 31 to 33 years of age, when the person is going through the 7th house, 8th house, and 9th house, the first house matures. This is the house we are talking about. So what might happen during this age? A person might get married. 31 years, the person is going through the 7th house, the age of the house of spouse, marriage. 32 years is the life of the marriage, intimacy, physical intimacy, okay? And then 33 years may be a higher learning. You might get into philosophical aspects. Because guess what happens when the 29 and 30 matures, 12th house, is a person starts investigating higher things of life. Life is not all about fun and games. It's not about just the gaming industry or going to movies. The person starts becoming that or looking at these aspects starting at the age of 33. So marriage, intimacy, foreign travels, you mature. First house, so at the age of 33, by the time a person has completed 33, is when they really begin to mature. Then, moving on. From the age of 32 to 35, Mercury matures. What is Mercury? Mercury is intellect. Person intellectually matures starting from 33 going up to 35 years of age. Mercury matures. Most affected when the planet matures are the ones which Mercury governs or rules, which is Gemini and Virgo in this case. Both ascendants are ruled by Mercury. So they will be the most affected. Again, all of the rest of them also will be affected in one form or fashion. Okay. So it goes up till 35 years of age. By the time a person becomes communicative with the social network, social media, this is 35 years of age. All right. Then We come to 34 to 36 years of age. Second house matures. These 3 years, 34, when a person is in peak of his career in the 10th house, then goes on to 11th house of social media networks and gains, then 36th house when he is in the house of losses, losses and spirituality, second house matures. What this can mean? This can also mean when second house matures, your family grows. You may have kids. Your family grows. The ones which you have got married, remember, at 31 years of age, you may have children. Your family grows in one way or other. You may have wealth, loss or gain. Why? Because this is 35 years is of 11th house of gains, 12th house immediately following that is losses. Or you may be having kids. This happens around this age group, 34 to 36 years, typically for all, right? So if we want to recollect right up till 36 years, we'll start from the beginning and jumble it all up, okay? What happens starting from 25, 26? This happens. We'll go from the beginning. We'll first blank this out and try this again. So keep this graphic in mind when you go through it, okay? 25 to 26, 10th house matures. 25 to 27, Venus matures. 27 to 28, 11th house matures. This is all showing in one. 28 to 31, Mars matures. Then 29 to 30, 12th house matures. 31 to 33, first house mature, you mature. Then comes 32 to 35, Mercury matures. Then 34 to 36, second house mature. You see how jumbled this whole thing looks like. So this are really action-packed years of maturity for any human being. Of course, you have to go ascendant by ascendant, and if you want to consult of where you are, how it is affecting, of course, you got to take the major periods of the Mahadashas into consideration, where the planets are specifically posited in your chart, and all the rest of it. We're just getting started about the maturity here. So if you have any questions about any of this, get in touch. I also have linked up my podcast where I am posting periodically. It's updated almost daily. Apple Podcast, Spotify, as well as Google Podcasts. I put the links below. You can even follow that. Download the free stuff, which is all the teachings of Vedic astrology. My perspectives, I'm sharing what my experience has been. Go through that and get in touch with me on Facebook if you want to. All right, take care, like, share, and subscribe as usual. Bye bye.